All right, now it's time to put a spotlight on author, founder, and CEO of Phenomenal Woman. I'm talking about Meena Harris. Meena is a Harvard graduate and a respected entrepreneur who is recognized as an influential voice for women's equality. She's a lawyer, a mom, and now adding children's book author to her titles. Hi, Meena, and thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
First off, I mentioned you had a Phenomenal Woman campaign, and that is ongoing. Tell our viewers about that.
Yeah, so Phenomenal Woman Action Campaign, I launched it coming out of the 2016 election. It was a very small idea. It was never supposed to last longer than 1 month. And here we are over 3 years later, but it was originally a 1-month fundraising campaign to raise money for women's organizations through the sale of t-shirts that say Phenomenal Woman. I now have lots of different t-shirts. I'm wearing one of my sweatshirts now. And it's just kept growing and growing. And now we raise awareness around lots of different issues, particularly those that affect underrepresented communities. Never could have expected that I would still be sitting here 3.5 years later still talking about it. So it's exciting to see it still grow.
Right, and your newest endeavor is a children's book. It's called Kamala and Maya's Big Story. I actually have a copy right here. And this is coming out June 2nd. I read it with my younger son over the weekend, and he loved it. It was very inspiring, and I was like, all right. He was into it. Tell us about the book.
Well, I love that your son was into it because it's really about, strong, powerful girl characters, which I think all children need to see and that we need more of in children's literature. So the book is about two sisters named Kamala and Maya. It's based on a childhood story of my mom, Maya, and Aunt Kamala. And it's all about making positive change in your community in any way. And it's a lesson, I think, for all of us, adults included, around community organizing and helping your community and leaning on your community. I think it's really relevant right now in this moment of crisis where we see people who are coming together to help one another during COVID-19 and this pandemic. And it's the message that everyone can do something, no matter how small. We all have a role to play. So I'm so excited. It comes out in 2 weeks, and it's really been a labor of love. I originally wrote it really to sort of memorialize this story that I heard growing up to give to my own daughters. And as I was going through the process, I thought, wow, I mean, how amazing is it that I can share this with children all over the world? So here we are.
We'll talk about a little bit more about the big idea, because you mentioned, there's strong female characters, young girls, and I think that's what my son kind of resonated with. I think it was kind of thinking like, oh, they're making things happen. And, my kids are mixed, so it was nice to see diversity in the book as well. Talk about how important that is.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a huge reason why I wanted to write it, which was my own experience of becoming a new mother and reading reading books to my kids and not seeing characters that looked like them, that had brown skin or curly hair. And we found ourselves, coloring in the skin with brown marker, or, changing the pronouns from he to she to they. And I finally just thought, I'm just going to write the book myself. If I'm not finding it, on bookshelves, let me just do it myself. And that's what I did. And it really was important to me, and continues to be, to talk about the issue of diversity in children's literature, and that we still have a long way to go. Just 2 years ago in 2018, fewer than a third of all children's books in the United States featured a person of color as a main character. I believe there's something like there's more books about animals as main characters than there are Black, Latinx, Asian, and Native main characters combined. We made a ton of progress even in the last 3 to 5 years, but we still have such a long way to go. And it was really about, characters that my kids can see themselves in, that they can relate to, that they can use their imagination to put themselves in that story. And the process of writing it was really extraordinary to see already that was what was really, inspiring my daughter to say, oh, her hair looks like mine, or, that looks like a playground that I go to, right? And it's really important, I think, especially at young ages when kids are learning about the world around them primarily through books, right? Through family and books and school, to have that and to see that representation. And as I said, I think it's not just for girls. It's not just for girls of color, even though we are still so underrepresented on bookshelves. It's also important for white children. It's important for boys. I strongly believe that women's equality starts with girls' equality, and so much of this starts young. So many of those, cultural norms and what we are teaching our children about how we see and respect women starts at this young age. And I really hope that this is, a small part of some of that progress towards in women's equality ultimately.
Yeah, Kamala and Maya's Big Idea by Meena Harris. It's coming out June 2nd. I know the main characters are based on your mom and your aunt. I'm sure they're so proud. How can people keep up with you and get more information about Phenomenal Women as well as your book?
Thank you. Yeah, so the book comes out June 2nd. You can pre-order it now. We have a big campaign with local bookstores who we know are really needing our support right now to stay afloat. So you can go to phenomenalgirl.com to get information on where to purchase the book. Any major bookseller has it as well, Amazon, all of those other platforms. And Phenomenal Woman, you can go to phenomenalwoman.us and get an electable sweatshirt or whatever.
Very nice. It's been great having you on the show, Meena, and sharing a little bit about your projects. Appreciate you joining us.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.